then the black pawn, maybe this is provocative, but he could even step forward, maybe trying to force white to make a decision. If the knights come off now, then at least the pawn structure hasn't changed, and black does have some ideas of using this rook against the white king. But then again, white might just retreat, white might step back and argue that, okay, in the center right now, and Magnus clearly not comfortable.
The fabulous...
If he spends 20 minutes and doesn't find anything convincing, then it could be really unpleasant, so...
Jag gick ner och sen gick upp igen. Alltså jag gick upp precis innan du gick ner. Aj. Leo.
Anything convincing, then it could be really unpleasant, so...
Jag gick ner och sen gick upp igen. Alltså jag gick upp precis innan du gick ner. Aj. Leo.
Is this a situation where he as well will be thinking about the clock a little bit, because the clock could be important to have a lot of time for the rest of the game if those trades doesn't happen?
If they don't happen, yes, for sure,
Yeah.
sure. But if he finds a way to trade safely, then it's not going to be an issue.
So is that basically his goal now?
Yes.
Find a move that has everything trading off.
Yeah, and I just checked the computer variations, and I'm just looking here that black only has 2 choices. He has to take one of those pawns. If he doesn't, it's going to be lost.
Well, let's get up Stockfish then.
Which one?
Interesting.
Luckily, those are the most obvious moves in the position. But yeah, as you mentioned, Jovanka, which one? And wow, Stockfish spoiling it for us. Apparently, both moves are fine.
Yeah.
But if both moves are fine, maybe that's an even more difficult choice. Because how do you compare the two? How do you weigh them up? They look completely different to me. They lead to different types of positions. Okay, so only 2 moves that Magnus can choose here.
Because the third one gives a huge advantage for Jan Nepomniachtchi.
Yeah, the third one, I think, just loses a pawn, essentially.
A very important pawn, yeah.
Yeah, one of black's central pawns will just fall off if black does anything other than capture in the center right now. And Magnus, clearly not comfortable. He was looking behind him there, maybe distracted by some noise or...
See, something seemed to happen with his chair as well. The arbiter had to come over and, I don't know, fix something.
Okay, so 2 moves. Should we have a vote? What are we going to do?
I predicted the one that is given the lowest evaluation by 0.1 difference. No, and not, of course, because of the evaluation, but because it seems to me more likely to generate even more trades.
It's 50-50. I'm so tempted to launch our Guess the Move challenge right now, but it's a 50-50 choice. What do we think, guys? Should we ask our viewers what they think, or should we delay that for a bit later? There might still be some critical moments later in the game.
No, I think now it's maybe... I think there might also not be any more critical moments.
Okay, well, let's do it.
Okay, guys, it's time for Guess the Move. Magnus has 2 sensible choices. What's it going to be? Which pawn is Magnus going to capture? In the center of the board. Guess the Move time, guys. Okay, so it's a difficult moment for Magnus Carlsen. It's a difficult moment for all of you at home as well. What is black going to play here? Send us your predictions. Send us what you think is the best move, or send us what you think Magnus will most be attracted to. Is he going to capture a pawn in the center? He's been spending 10 minutes on this move already, so he could move any moment now. Tweet us using the hashtag C24Live, and we'll pick a lucky winner.
Yeah. And one of the last chances as well to gather the great prize in this competition.
It is a great prize. It is 1-year membership to the fabulous website GChess, which allows you to put up a position on the board, and you can search that position on chess databases, chess articles, Chessable Short and Sweet, and of course YouTube. So fantastic prize. So tweet your answer using the hashtag C24Live.
All right, well, who knows how much time you have. Magnus Carlsen is still thinking. There are 2 quite obvious moves, you said, in the position to trade off the pawns, but Magnus is in a very comfortable situation in the match, right? Could he be taking some risks here as well?
Possibly.
Possibly, but it's not even clear how to take risks in this position.
Oh, the move is coming!
They're coming.
Oh,
Okay, which pawn has been grabbed? It's the D pawn. Magnus has played E takes D4, so capturing on the D4 square.
Okay.
Niels, your first instinct as well.
Yes.
Okay, so we will live to see the ramifications of this move. Looks like Jan's back at the board. He's about to move as well.
He has started to make his moves very quickly again, yeah? And he's not very much at the board. Which is slightly surprising, because this feels like you need to calculate quite a lot.
It's really sharp, yeah. Jan's last decision so forcing that he's asking questions of Magnus, and there we go. As predicted, he captures this pawn. Jan, he is now hitting the black rook in the center of the board. I'm hoping our viewers were in time to submit some move suggestions there. They're normally very, very fast. Nearly as fast as Jan making his moves.
Yeah, Jan is even faster, yeah?
And, critical moment again for Magnus.
they keep coming, these critical moments for him, but I mean, what will he do now? How many options do you see him having now?
He's either going to take that white pawn in the center of the board, but that looks a bit risky.
That looks a bit risky, but it could also be that it simply works. There is nothing direct, and then it just equalizes the game. So.
But he must have already
Magnus.
calculated this, right? When he was
yes.
calculating for 11 minutes there, what will happen with this move, and then is it to move the rook or to take the pawn?
That's the question, move the rook or take the pawn. And the players, often we see them spend a lot of time when it's maneuvering, when it's planning. We saw Magnus burn a lot of time where to put the pieces, but as soon as it becomes calculation, just very short, sharp variations, they are fantastically good. And have we predicted all of this? Because Magnus does indeed bring his rook to the center,
Okay.
guarding the black pawn. So if the black pawn is captured in the middle now by white's rook or by white's pawn, we'll just see a bunch of trades, everything get eliminated. Magnus is really trying to force the issue.
And he did the confidence trick that every single player does when they're feeling ready and very pleased with their position. They make their move, they walk off.
Yeah.
When you see that happen, you should be a little bit careful. And, David mentioned that a lot of time was spent by Magnus. But I have to say, the viewers were quick with their guess the move answers.
Nice.
And we do have a winner. The 1-year membership of GChess goes to ChessPlayer01, who said, guessed correctly the move. He takes D4. So,
Nice.
yeah, you have a fabulous resource at your fingertips. Enjoy. Congratulations.
Yeah, definitely. ChessPlayer01. That sounds like a very nice name to have on Twitter as well. Wonder if it is a famous grandmaster, maybe. Under some sort of a nickname.
I think I saw Niels tweeting under the table.
I remember one winner was Simu.
Yeah, ChessPlayer01, or maybe it's the first grandmaster of all time. Who was that?
Good question.
When was the grandmaster title
Also a good
invented?
question.
Sorry.
70s, 60s, 70s?
Yeah,
We'll have to have our historian, Simon Williams, check that out.
Tweet us if you know the answer at home.
Yeah.
Because there were lots of players who were Grandmaster Strength, of course, but FIDE only introduced the title quite late on.
but I think at least they introduced
Retrospective.
Yeah, but also many grandmasters at once the first time. Like they just awarded the title to a group of people who.
Just went.
Exactly. Like I don't know how many, but maybe 10 or something like that. 15 grandmasters at once.
Yeah.
And then they invented this whole system that we have still nowadays.
And the federation, the FIDE, I can't remember what it stands for, but the Federation International des Échecs, it's like the governing body, they kind of didn't establish until 1920 something.
Yeah.
And I think we have to show the move that's just landed on the board. White did indeed retreat the queen, hitting the black rook. Just to explain why white didn't capture the pawn in the center. For example, if white captures with the pawn, then the black knight simply captures this pawn. And the queen, the rook defend this knight perfectly, and we would just see a bunch of trades. I think there's just one small tactic I want to show here. After knight takes knight, after, OK, actually black can take this knight with his queen maybe, but after rook takes rook, there would be queen takes knight, and now white could try flicking in a rook check, which is a nice distraction tactic. So, for example, the black rook, if it captures this rook, would drop the black queen. And white would win some material here. But maybe the simplest of all for black would be, for example, in this position, not to actually rush to take the rook off the board, but first to capture the knight. And now after queen takes queen, there would be an intermediate move, a Zwischenzug, where rook takes rook check first is flicked in, and only now does black take the queen. So you always got to look out for these tricks, these checks, these captures, and black is at least fine here because this pawn is going to drop potentially, and maybe as well, whoops, the pawns on the 4th rank are also vulnerable. Black would be doing fantastically, and likewise, if white had taken on d4 with the rook, we would have seen the same or similar idea. Black can take this pawn at any moment. You don't actually need to rush. So instead of walking into that tactic I showed, maybe black can just wait a move or two. For example, just push a pawn, and this pawn will fall eventually. That's why Jan Nepomniachtchi decided to drop back, hitting the rook, and Magnus has indeed shuffled it across to the f4 square. We mentioned this earlier. It looked clumsy. It's very rare to see a rook on this square, but if it works, it works. And the same issue, if white captures on the d4 square now, then black is just going to capture the other pawn, and everything is going to get hoovered off. What do we think, guys? Is this conceivable for white, pushing a pawn forward, attacking the black rook? Is this the last attempt? It might backfire, though.
It might backfire, yeah, and also it might still be this... black gives up the rook in order to get perpetual check.
Yeah, so this rook almost trapped. It can retreat, but this would lose a pawn. So instead, as Nils mentions, you give up the rook, you capture the white knight, and once the rook disappears, black can take this pawn with a check. If white wants to win, you have to run away with the king. If you run this side, the black queen will continue checking. Maybe you can even take this pawn with check. So if you run the other way, this is the big question. But this king is running out into the open.
Yeah, it looks insanely dangerous for white, actually.
Yeah, for example, the black knight could jump into the game and the white king in massive danger.
Wow.
Yeah, and the material gain is even not that great. Yeah, rook for a knight, only 2 points. So.
But desperate times calls for desperate measures, you guys. Let's go back down to Dubai. Tanya, you're in the lounge, I understand, where Team Carlsen is following Game 11.
God, there's so much buzz and hype inside the Chess24 lounge. Come on in with me and I'll show you guys what's going on here. We've got Magnus' sister Ellen is there, Henrik's here, and I've just spotted the mustache guy as well. Hey, how's it going?
It's going very well, thank you.
What was that like on live television getting a shave?
Yeah, it was kind of weird, to be honest, and I don't think I'm supposed to be called the mustache guy anymore. I'm like former mustache guy or something, but no, it was funny. It was funny, to be honest.
It's super nice to have you here with us. Enjoy. Lots of action here. We also see partners of Chess24 here. And I also spot Morten. He is the former president of the Norwegian Chess Federation. Hey.
Hello.
How's it going?
It's going very great. It's very nice to be here.
I can imagine, and especially given the mad situation with Magnus having a 3-point lead, that's a good feeling.
That's a very good feeling. And for some of us who have planned this trip for more than just a few days, we actually maybe hope for a draw so we can prolong the match a little bit.
Definitely, I understand that. Now, you have been for the London World Championship match as well as the New York World Championship match, and now you're here in Dubai. How's this different?
Well, first of all, being present in a World Championship match is unique, is historical, is very nice. To be present here, the playing venue is very, very good. There is also room for more spectators than earlier, so more supporters can come and join, and it's very nice.
I can imagine it is a spectacular venue. Now, Magnus is on the verge of his 5th World Championship title. Of course, that's huge. Tell us a little bit about his contribution to Norwegian chess. I mean, is it accurate to say that he invented chess in Norway? Is that close to the truth?
That's a nice metaphor, yes. Without him, we would not been standing here, having the chess walkers all over the world. And in Norway, he's really popularized the sport in schools, and there are more members than ever in the Chess Federation. So, indeed, he has really done everything for Norwegian chess.
That's really nice to hear. And tell me, if he goes on to win this title, what will that mean for Norway?
That we can keep, developing like we have done. And we still have, of course, we are proud of him being the world champion. So that's very, very nice.
Thank you so much, Morten, for joining us. What can I say? It's a bit of a party today here in the Chess24 lounge. Of course, the game is heating up. So back to you guys.
Thank you, Tanya. So nice to see the mustache man again. He's in Dubai now. He was in the studio and we did shave off that mustache. And I wonder maybe, Simon, should you be next?
No. It's just not happening, all right? You keep that razor well away from me, all right? So
I would never touch the ginger beer.
No,
it's legendary.
No, I'd lose all my strength,
Yeah.
which, you know, is not that much, but anyway.
Wow.
But yeah, yeah, great to see the moustache guy. I think he's a bit of a legend of the broadcast now. People loved him, which is fantastic. And yeah, I mean, this game at the moment, it seems like Magnus has found a very good way to deal with that slight pressure which Jan was putting on the position. So I think there in the lounge, the Chess24 lounge, most of Magnus' supporters will be pretty happy, I think, at the moment. So
we are waiting to see what Jan Nepomniachtchi will do. He's been thinking for 5 minutes now on this move. And talking about legendary moustache man, legendary beards, we are talking about the legend, Garry Kasparov, as well. Known by most people, also Magnus Carlsen, as the best chess player ever. Now, what will it take for Magnus Carlsen to overtake that sort of title?
Quite a lot. I mean, basically, you know, Garry did rule the chess world for about 20 years, and he won everything. So not just the World Championships, like if there was a big tournament, Weikan Z, other big tournaments, he'd win it.
Yeah.
Magnus Carlsen could well be a stronger player at the moment with the advancements in chess, but he needs to dominate the chess world for a bit longer. He's doing a great job at the moment, obviously, by taking the lead in this match, but he needs to, again, just really maybe get a couple more years of domination under his belt to get that legendary status, or, well, he's pretty legendary at the moment, that more legendary status. Garry was just so dominant, and he was such a scary player to play.
Yeah, and you imagine, even when he retired, was it 2005? He was still world #1.
He was still world #1, and I really like this way of retiring. You know, retiring at the top. I mean, who knows if Magnus is going to do the same? Maybe he'll be like, after this match, he'll be like, that's it, that's me done. I'm going to do other things now. I've done it all, you know. I doubt it, because he's got, hopefully, someone like Ali Reza, well, I call him the Razor, this sharp attacker, and I'm sure he'd love to play a World Championship match against him. I mean, wouldn't we all love to see that? That'd be fascinating. There's many other players he could, of course, play if he wins this World Championships, when he wins this World Championships.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
well, so even if Garry, he retired in 2005, he lost his World Championship title in 2000 to Vladimir Kramnik. And you were present, weren't you?
I was, yeah. I was little Ginger, without the beard, baby Ginge, and it was quite funny. I wasn't really sure what I was doing with my life. I ended up here somehow, and I got a phone call from my friend, and he said, "Simon, I know you need a bit of cash. Do you want a job at the World Championships?" It was in London in the year 2000, and he said, "You can have a job in the theatre showing people to their chairs." So I was like, "Way, yeah, I get paid to watch the World Championships, to show people to their chairs, £10 an hour." Not bad for a youngster.
Yeah.
And I got there really excited. So I was showing people to the chairs, thinking, Garry Kasparov, what a match is going to be. Sacrifices, every game, bang, bang, bang. Kramnik, probably going to beat Kramnik. Berlin.
That's when the Berlin. Yeah, that's when the Berlin started.
Berlin.
Oh, no.
Berlin. Endgame. Berlin. And I was like, I was like, OK, yeah, you're right. But that's when the Berlin started. Yeah.
But Vladimir Kramnik, he had huge success with it. Even if it's not the favourite opening, right? He did have huge success with Berlin.
He did. It was an inspired opening choice, brilliant opening choice. He worked with Garry Kasparov 4 years previously, I think, when Garry was going towards the World Championships, and he found the way to cause Garry problems. Garry was this big fire energy on the board, and what you do to a fire to put it out, you throw water on it. And he used the Berlin, named after the Berlin Wall, because you put up this strong wall of defence. And he played this in every possible game he could against Garry. And Garry, with the white pieces, was visibly annoyed by this great defensive opening. And Kramnik won one great game with white, and that was, I think, enough to win. He just really took the sting out of Garry's explosive play.
Yeah. And so the shift happened. Garry Kasparov was no longer world champion. It was Vladimir Kramnik, who we know well. He's even played in the Meltwater Champions Chess Tour, fantastic chess commentator. But as a chess player and as a world champion, what was he like?
He was a brilliant chess player throughout his career. He's one of the young and the last Soviet world champion.
Yeah.
And he was very, very talented at a young age. And he had this. Maybe we have a move. Let's just see.
Yeah.
So we do. Wow, we do have G3. Is G3 really being played?
Yeah.
Okay.
We're about